Shalom, Rukuba, welcome. Um, I have a new camera, so I am now
Oh,
fancy HD, Chris. I can do a little.
oh.
Ooh. Yeah, I can tease you. So,
I thought you looked a little
um,
more vibrant than usual, but I thought
yes,
maybe that was just your glorious visage being made apparent.
no, I do not possess that. So, yeah, got a new camera. Hopefully it all looks good and feels good. Holy depth of field, Batman, and it even like adjusts on its own,
Ooh.
which is nice. So it's like, ooh, it's
I
fancy.
got this fancy thing where if I position my head correctly, I can get a nice Zabiba. There we go. There we go. Look at that. I'm very
Ooh,
devout.
very Zabibi.
Yeah, Habibi Zabibi.
Yes, Zabib. Don't cry, Habibi. Um. Anyway, should put that on my soundboard. So today we gonna be going through Joshua. We're gonna be going through Joshua 1 and 2, and then a bunch of things that are not Joshua but are related to Joshua and are a little bit of typology. So, can we finally get a Gadfly impression without a story?
I don't think there's anything that comes out of me that doesn't also come attached with a story. But Christian Gadfly is just it's up in a little bit higher register, and then you add a little bit of that accent, and then
Twang.
yeah, a little bit of it, and then also throw in something about Gnosticism, and
True.
then you get a little bit introspective, and it comes back down, and you kind of think and talk, but then you come back up, and it's very what's the word? Uh, well, I don't
Endearing.
know words anymore. I'm old now. I forget words. In It's kind of like engaging, but it's not the word I'm thinking of.
uh,
Someone think of that word.
okay. So let's get into uh the actual thing. The meat of today. So today is just gonna be me and Steven. Chase is busy and Christian Gadfly is lame. So we're out here by ourselves today. And Ash is currently streaming, so I don't know if when or if he will crash the stream.
An ash
So right now it's just
crash.
an Ash crash. Right now it's just that sounds bad. Right now it's just me and Steven. Gato may or may not join later, but most of you don't even know him because you don't watch the older content. So what's up? What up, Jew
Who'd
crew?
you say Chris
Indeed.
might join?
Gato?
Ooh, fun, fun.
Yes. But he currently doing stuff. Anyway, let's get into the first thing
Theophoric
I want to point out.
names.
The theophoric names and how they changed, why they changed, and the significance of it. So this gets into the typology of Joshua and Jesus. I have like 13 points I want to go through where Joshua and Jesus are connected, including some ancient archaeology. So it's going to be very nerdy. We're going to nerd it up. And then some of this will be content I've already talked about previously. A lot of it will be new that I only learned about whenever I started doing deep dives into Joshua. So this is going to be a mixture of things that I've yapped about before and things that are extremely nerdy that the vast majority of people don't know. So pretty cool. The first thing I want to focus on is the actual the name of Joshua and the name of Jesus themselves. So Joshua is Yeho Shua, and this is literally just Joshua in today's English. My Hebrew handwriting is actually better quality than my English handwriting. Imagine that. Probably because I just care more to get this right than I do about English
Well, and
because
I
English
do
is
gotta say,
lame.
Chris, I've been a streaming pal for about almost the last year, and that's some pretty good Hebrew improvement compared to. I remember
All
when
right.
we were laughing at your cool little thing, and we were saying we should have a handwriting competition. That's some solid looking Hebrew there. I wouldn't make an iron
uh,
like that personally, but
I mean, like the something like that.
I would do.
I
This is so irrelevant. Never mind. Go on, Chris.
what would you do? The straight
That's what
line?
I would. Yeah, yeah, that's what I would do.
Oh,
Just
okay,
because it's
that's
the other one looks a little bit more like
lame.
Saudi, and you don't want to get those confused.
Whatever. Okay, I
How would you do
mean the vast
Saudi?
majority.
There you see. It can be mistaken easy.
But then if I have this nice little curve and then there's not straight line,
Uh-huh.
you
We
don't really confuse them.
If you make like a Z and then make a little well, not like, would it be a Z? What am I thinking? No, not like a Z. Well, again, why am I doing this? Anyway, what were you saying, Chris?
Well, like
Yeah, there
that.
we go. Yeah, that's a pretty
Yeah.
good Saudi.
Okay. Anyway, so there's a
Sorry.
bunch of ways to write Hebrew. But a lot of Hebrew writers don't even do that. They do cursive. You can actually there's cursive
Yeah.
Hebrew that I can't read. I can't read cursive Hebrew. I can only read the block script.
Okay.
I went through Hebrew in college for a little bit, and even then, she was like the first day of class. She was like, "So, who can read Hebrew?" And then, like, the vast majority of us lifted our hands. We're like, "Okay." And she wrote her name on the board. I was like, "What's your name?" And she's like,
Oh.
It's right there." I was like, "I don't recognize that." She's like, "What do you mean you don't recognize that?" So he was blown away. She's like, "Well, it's kind of like English. You like everyone writes in cursive in English." And literally no one in the classroom, I was the oldest because I'm an old man, but no one in the classroom raised their hand that they actually used cursive, or most
Yeah.
people didn't even know cursive in English. So
Unfortunately.
anyway, tangent aside, this is the name we're going to focus on right now is Joshua. Aye. So Joshua means Yahweh is salvation, or Yahweh is the savior, or Yahweh is my savior. Lots of ways you can interpret it. The Yeho stands for Yahweh, and then the Shua here is the root for salvation or to be saved. So you can interpret this a number of ways. But I want to talk about how this became Yeshua, which is not the same. It's not the same letters, it's not the same word. And this, if you add a nice little he at the end, this is literally the word for salvation.
Mm.
So that is just salvation in Hebrew, like just by itself. So Yeshua, it's a little bit worse. This is Jesus. This actually appears in the Bible, in the Old Testament, which we're going to go through those places. So I want to go talk about how did Joshua become Jesus? Why does that matter? Why is that important? And some other neat things that corresponds to. I made a video on this. It was like 45 minutes. I'm going to attempt to only skim it for like 10 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. But we have all of these names here in the Old Testament and on ossuaries. We actually have way more than just these names, but we have all these names on ossuaries that are Hebrew male names that have this same feature where they all start with this Yeho. So this, if you add an extra hey at the end, is just Yahweh. So this is the majority of the name of Yahweh, because Yahweh, for those who are unfamiliar, is Yod He Vav He. So this is the Yod He Vav. We have all of these names starting with the Yod He Vav, and they all have this Yeho. When it's at the end of a word, it's usually Yahu, which is why you say Hallelujah instead of Hallelujah Yeho. So at the end of a
Well, and
word, at the
that's
end of a
even a little
name,
bit different in Hallelujah because it has the mapik and
true,
the hey.
yeah. Right. So that's literally ya as a proper noun rather
But
than Yahoo. So
so
like
actually,
Nen
kind of on that
Yahoo would
point,
be
yeah, like for Elijah, names that end in it, like you could have Eliyahu for Elijah, but you could also have
mhm,
Eliyah, and you could
like
have
Isaiah.
Zechariahu for Zechariah, or you could have Zechariah, because the
Mhm,
Yod Hey is like I mean, even in Hebrew numerals, they
right.
use letters for numbers, and out of respect for the name of God, when you get to 15, uh, you don't write Yod Hey. That's how you would write it normally, because Yod it counts for 10 and Hey is for 5. But out of
Right.
respect for God's name, they will
You change it.
do, yeah, they will do a Tet and a Wow. So it's same math, but so the Yod Hey is like
Yeah,
recognized
this
as
is
is God's name.
15. Yeah. Yep. So you do have like hallelujah, as you just said. The Yah has this end here where it's the proper name Yah. And Yah by itself appears 50 times in the Bible.
Mhm.
And I'm going to point out one of them that's really important and interesting when it comes to Yeshua here in a second. But we do have this Yah. Whenever it's just you don't have that, you don't just have the three letters either at the beginning or the end. It changes. So you have the Yeho and you have the Yahoo or the Yah at the end, depending on who wants to do it and what time period you're talking about, because they would
Mhm.
shorten words to make it a little bit softer during the Babylonian exile. So during the exile, we have a lot of these names that are shortening. And this is how they shorten. So Yehochanan became Yochanan, which eventually became John. Yehonatan became Jonathan, which is Jonathan. So technically, Jonathan and John are from different names, very similar
Yes.
names, related names, but they're technically from different names. Even though people who are named Jonathan now go by the name John, which is very confusing. It's
Yeah, because there's
not proper.
Yehohanan. God is
Right.
gracious. Yehonathan means like a gift of God, and
Yes.
so that is
Gracious
funny.
versus given.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So literally different names, and yet
completely
they use a
different.
nickname that is shortened because it has the same first like consonant.
Mm,
Anyway, so we have this shortening where if you notice, this Yeho becomes a Yo. So Yehonatan becomes Jonathan. Yoash becomes Yoash. Yehoram becomes Yoram, and so on and so on and so on. And all of these, every single one that I've been able to find, and I looked through, I think, 56 different ones, every single male or female name that has a theophoric entry always shortens to a yo. Every single time, it just kills this he and just is a yod vav every time. The only time this doesn't happen is with Jesus. So this he dies. This vav doesn't stay in place though. It moves after the shin. So it moves over here. So they kill the he and they move the shin, which doesn't really make that much sense. So like, oh, well then, just makes the vowel like roll off the tongue a little bit easier, but it entirely changes the vowel itself. So it breaks the formula in a very weird way. Where really Jesus' name should be Yod Vav Shin Ayin. It should be Yosha
yeah, or probably
or
yeah,
Yoshua.
yeah, yeah, Yoshua.
Yeah, you could do either of these, but this would probably be the more likely outcome. But that's what it should have been if it followed the same naming convention of just shortening. It should be Yoshua, but it's not. It's Yeshua, and Yeshua is salvation. So we have Jesus being named salvation, and this happens in Le Bible. So let's go through Le Biblioteca. And I want to
Donde está la
show.
biblioteca? That was for the mule. Oh, there you go.
How did Stephen get
Lengthened,
shortened
not
to slippery
shortened.
Judaizer?
That's a funny story, actually. That was with needgod.net. Well, not him particularly, but someone in the comments who didn't like what I was saying.
Oh yeah.
That was
All right.
fun.
So I want to bring up not Isaiah yet. So Isaiah is going to actually be the end of the stream. So we have here
Oh,
Ezra 2:36.
sorry, Chris. I was just going to say, actually, Isaiah and Joshua are the same name, just with the name of God on different
Backwards.
ends. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's Yehoshua versus Yeshayahu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
there we go. There's
salvation
Yeshua right
comes
there.
from Yahweh versus Yahweh is salvation.
Mm,
Yeah. So Isaiah and Joshua is the same name, just backwards, which is very confusing to anyone who hears it in English because they're very
right.
different in English. Yeah.
Mm,
But Isaiah is the same name as Jesus, which is going to be relevant in the future. So a little bit of foreshadowing. But here we have this name Jeshu or Jeshua. And obviously you just change the J to a Y, and this is just Yeshua. And it's the same the same, literally the same. This is Yeshua. This is how you would write Jesus's name in Hebrew.
And it
And
also
this
comes
happens.
up in Zechariah too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
And also Nehemiah. So it comes up 30 times in the Bible. Zechariah, for those who don't understand the Hebrew,
Oh, sorry.
Zechariah, Nehemiah, and Ezra all have this word for Yeshua. And this is after the exile. So during the exile, Yahushua became Yeshua. It's really weird though, whenever you look at all of these other names. So let's go to Nehemiah 12:10. And we see now Yeshua became the father of Jehoiakim. Well, this is from the Old Testament, from before the exile, and it would usually be a Yod He Vav, and then the Oyakim.
Yeah,
But here it's just
Yehoiakim.
right. Here it's just Yo. So instead of it being Ye or like Ye, it's Yo. So we have both happening at the same time. We have Yeshua here following the broken system, and then we have Jehoiakim following the correct system. And this happens a lot. Here's another one. Jonathan. Yo Natan. And then Yoadiah. And this is like a long list of people. Pretty much all of these like theophoric names at the beginning all have this Yo. Literally all of them. Except Jesus. So you also even have that here with the Yoirib. We have all these names all over the place that have it, except Yeshua. Yeshua still doesn't have it. And we get, oh, well, maybe it's like Aramaic. It's the Aramaic spelling of Joshua. It's not, because whenever you look at the actual text in Nehemiah 8:17, we have the sons of Israel had indeed not done so from the days of Joshua, the son of Nun, to that day. Well, this is again Yeshua. So it's actually Joshua from the book of Joshua being named Yeshua ben Nun. So this is not Bar Nun. This is not Aramaic. This is Hebrew, which indicates
Well,
that this
that's
is
an
Hebrew.
interesting point, Chris. I never thought about that.
So this is not an Aramaic version of Joshua. This is a Hebrew version of Joshua that was shortened in a weird way that just so happened to also make it the same as salvation, which is relevant whenever we look at Matthew 1, where it says that you shall name him salvation. You shall name him Yeshua, is what he would have said to him in Hebrew. And whenever we look at like Isaiah, there's some pretty cool stuff that happens all over the place. It also happens in Deuteronomy. It also happens in Exodus. But here in Isaiah 12:2, we have, behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not dread, for Yahweh himself is my strength and song. He has become my Yeshua.
Look at
So
that, Chris.
literally
We
we
got all
have here,
sorts of the things going on there. We've got the Yah with the Mapik, like we were talking about.
yep,
We've got the full name written out, Yod He Wav He, and then we have the word Lishuathi, my salvation, and then down there Lishua, like to
mm-hmm,
as for or as salvation
yeah. So literally Yahweh is becoming
to
my
me
salvation.
as
Yeah,
salvation. Yeah,
to
yeah.
me as salvation. Yahweh comes to me as salvation. Yahweh comes to me as Yeshua.
Pretty
So
cool.
here's God coming. This happens a lot. That exact phrase happens a bunch of times in the
Mm.
scriptures. We have Yah coming, becoming Yeshua, and being sent to the people to redeem them, to save them. So we have God coming with the name Yeshua, saving his people, which is very cool. And it appears to me to be some form of divine foreplanning. So another interesting little tidbit of that is Joshua is actually renamed by Moses.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
believe in Numbers.
Yeah, because it used to be Hoshea.
Yes. You wouldn't happen to remember the exact verse. Numbers
No,
13.
I
Let
would.
me look it up. All right. So
Which is
here
funny
he
because Moses
renames
just
him.
added one letter, but it made the word then possess the name of God in it by adding one letter.
Correct. Yeah. So his name was Hosea, which Hosea is very close. It means roughly the same thing. It was just like
Yes,
to receive
six.
salvation, like to be
Mm,
helped. Yeah, because it still has the same root. So this shua here, the shin ayin, means to be saved, to save, to rescue. Um, so he is rescued, then he becomes salvation, or he becomes, Yahweh is my salvation. So we have he was originally named Hosea, and then was renamed Hosea from Hosea to Joshua by Moses. So Moses renamed him. And then we have Jesus whenever, Jesus is Yahweh. He's always been Yahweh. Even though the covenant name of Yahweh seems to have only been applied to him directly after Moses, depending on how you read Exodus. But we have the covenant names of God changing over time because he's now the God of Abraham. Now he's the God of Abraham and Isaac. Now he's the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. So he has this continuing change of names with every covenant that he enters into. So we have Joshua here being sent out into the land in the first coming into the promised land, because Joshua had two comings to the promised land. The first coming, where he was only there for a moment, he saw the goodness of it and he reported back to his people, but his people were not ready to receive it. His people rejected the promised land because of the report that it was going to be difficult, it was going to be hard, it was going to be weird. So they
no
rejected it.
faith.
No faith. They didn't have the faith to enter into the promised land. So then Joshua comes a second time with a new group of people who had the faith to enter into the promised land to receive rest. So we have Jesus here entering in the new covenant with a new name as Yahweh the Son, but now as Yeshua, as salvation. And he is going to his people. In his first coming, his people reject it because of a lack of faith, a lack of understanding. And then he goes away. He's, exalted. That's kind of where the typology breaks down a little bit. Joshua goes through the hardship and everything else, and then he's anointed leader. And as he's anointed leader, he comes back and he leads the people into the promised land by the crossing of the Jordan River, which will be very relevant in the future.
Very cool.
But we have, we're going to talk about that a lot today. So we have Joshua being renamed in this moment to then come back a second time to free the people from their bondage and deliver them onto rest. So, pretty cool. You have this twice coming promised land deliverance. And speaking of the promised land, we also have Hebrews 4, which I think we may or may not debate about in the future. But we have, for if Joshua had given them rest, he would not have spoken another day after that. And this is Yesuas in the Greek here. So very interesting. You can actually pull that up real quick. Whenever you look at the Greek, and even whenever you look for the Greek of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, it's pretty much Yesuas the whole time. So this is literally how you spell Jesus in the New Testament. So Joshua is now spelled like Jesus in the Greek of the New Testament. In the Greek of the Old Testament, it's exactly the same, except they don't have this last S. So it's just Yesol instead of Yesos. So it's Yesol. But we have now Joshua. So if you're just reading this, you're not understanding that he's mentioning Joshua specifically. You could read that like maybe this is Jesus. But because Jesus is usually given like Jesus Christ, other honorifics, like it's fairly easy to tell when he's talking about Jesus, when he's not talking about Jesus. The translator here understands it is Joshua. So for if Joshua had given them rest, he would not have spoken of another day after that. So there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God, for the one who has entered his rest has himself also rested from his works, as God did from his. Therefore, let us be diligent to enter that rest, lest anyone fall into the same example of disobedience. What was this example of disobedience? It was the example of the people of the Exodus. I was going to say the exile. The people in the desert who are rebelling against God, constantly complaining, not trying to enter the promised land, but are being bitter against God and against their freedom, we are not to be like those people. And Joshua gave them a lesser rest and whenever they were delivered into the promised land. And then Jesus gives us a much deeper rest as he delivers us into what I like to call the true promised land, the resurrection, the new heaven, the new earth, eternal life and glory with him, relationship with him, knowing him in ways that we can't now. Jesus brings us into that through his work, through the shedding of his blood. And
so there remains a Sabbath rest for the people. Look at this extreme close up with my crap camera. Sabbatismos, I think, is Greek. There, sabbatismos is the word, and it's a very special word. It's directly
Sabbath
referencing
rest.
the Sabbath.
Yeah, get a load of this guy not being on stream, but commenting. Yeah,
his name literally signifies that he's running. He's chased.
He's chased out of here.
He's running.
See, he's running. Yeah. So, I like to say that Moses represents the law, which guides us, but can't actually bring us into salvation, can't bring us into the true promised land. And Joshua brings the Israelites beyond the law into the promised land. So the law can only regulate how you are to live. It's to regulate your hearts, to make you suitable to live in the promised land, but it doesn't actually get you to the promised land. Joshua was the one that got them into the promised land. And then in the new covenant, in the same way, Jesus is giving us this new covenant to prepare our hearts, to get us ready, to get the church ready, to go into the promised land. But Jesus, since he's greater, he is both Moses and Joshua. He's the lawgiver and the giver of rest, the giver of the true
with
Sabbath.
you 100% on that, Chris.
Cool. So nice little thing. He brings grace, truth, spiritual rest, and everlasting life.
In here. Sorry.
How? That's very strange.
My daughter me and Lala were on the back patio for a bit, and my daughter kept opening the door to ask us questions. And Lala kept saying, "Gotta keep the door closed because we're gonna get mosquitoes in." And she was correct. That was a big one too. So if you guys see me clapping, it could be because Chris said something really impactful, but it also could be because there's a horrible. Whoa, there it goes. Come back. Here. So close to getting. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt, but I really don't want to. I'm in I just got through the 2-week misery period. I have 6 mosquito bites on each foot, and then I got one today on the back of my neck. So I'm really not pleased with these blood-sucking ladies of the night, and I would like to eliminate it from this current existence. But
blood-sucking ladies of the night.
So if you see me start going all nuts and clapping, it could be because Chris said something really good, but it's more likely that I'm trying to prevent another lump from forming on my very, very reactive skin.
Yes. So we have I want to be like Stephen. Brother looks so happy all the time. Well, you see, this is from the joy of following Torah. Whenever you dedicate your life to God and all of your focus to God, and every day of your life you think about what God wants you to do and you pursue it, you too can be happy.
God is really great, and I'm very grateful. And I've had a very wacky, difficult life, and still pretty in a good mood about all of it. But it's not me, because I know how I was before I knew Jesus, and that was a very unhappy fellow, very mean and terrible, unhappy fellow.
Yes, same. So, back to the typology real quick. So we have Joshua as a mighty warrior. He goes and he conquers all the land, which we'll read about in the next couple of weeks, including the sword fiasco with the fat dude, which is one of my favorite passages of the Bible, just because it's so funny.
Wait,
and you have...
Are you talking about Judges?
Oh, is it Judge?
with what's his name?
I thought it
Ehud?
was one of the kings. I thought it was one of the kings that
Oh,
Joshua
you're
conquered.
that well, there was the really big guy whose bed was like in biblical measurements, he ended up being like 13. That was
I think
Sihon
it's
or
five.
Og, one of those guys. But are you talking
That
about the
wasn't old.
left-handed guy who stabs the guy while he's on the toilet and his guts fall out and it like his belly eats the knife and then he escapes through the toilet?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah. The sword
that's in
gets.
Judges.
Oh, is it stuck in his body?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was listening to Judges and Joshua back to back on my
Oh,
drive
that
over to
makes
your
sense.
house. So, it's all just war the entire time. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
Judges 3. That just blended into the last like 17 chapters of Joshua, which is all just war and conquering.
It's always
Anyway,
sad
so
because when you read Judges, it's like, and yet again, the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. And so it's like over and over and over and over. You're like, man, guys, get it
we're
together.
gonna go through that next. Yeah. We do need to do this at some point in time. Hint, hint, ha ha, hoo hoo.
Yeah,
Um,
dang. I mean, if you
but
guys thought our regular live streams were long,
I
that
think
one's a
we should do
doozy.
a 6 hour. I think we should do a 6 hour live stream where you just go through your backstory and your testimony. I think that would be very fun,
I
and I
also
think
just have
people
to
would
find
enjoy
a
it
way
quite a
not to, because a lot of people that were involved are still alive, and I don't want to make anybody think anything about people uh, that I don't even think. But just to tell a story that when there's lots of characters, sometimes characters do terrible things, and then I don't know how to I don't know how to tell the story without making people, because currently there's a couple people still who I'm not very popular with, uh,
well, if you're
and I
already
don't
not
want to
popular
make
with them.
people think, huh?
I saying if you're already not popular with them, I mean,
Oh no, because oh yeah, but they're also like I don't want to make them feel bad. I don't know if that makes sense. I gotta. I'll ask your counsel, Chris, sometime on it. Maybe I'll give you an example story, and then say, is there a way to tell this story without maybe like revealing who I'm talking about? Because I don't want to. I feel like they ought to get their fair shot. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just text them the link and say, "Hey, in the comments, if you want to, if you want to tell your side, go right ahead."
also I like how he said he did not want my backstory. Okay, I mean, fair. There's a lot of it I'm not allowed to tell on the internet. So
You do have a pretty
it's
good video, though, that's just a general overview of your backstory, Chris. It's pretty good.
it's
I remember when I saw
very
that and I thought, wow.
it's kid friendly. It's the most kid friendly version of my backstory I can tell. So nah, all you guys are just gonna be either I'm gonna write a book on my deathbed, um, after my wife is already dead, if she allows it, um, or you're just gonna find out on Judgment Day.
Yeah, there's always that. Stay tuned, everybody. Become a Christian, and then there's going to be an eternity of wonderful stories. I just think
Yes,
about like sitting down at David's feet or Moses or Joshua or anybody and just be like, all right, tell us from your mouth, from your experience, this story. It'll be so cool.
I'm excited as well. Okay, so we have back to the typology. We have Joshua being a mighty warrior who defeated many enemies, basically established the kingdom. It was, not super. It wasn't what it needed to be. David eventually was the one that actually fully established Israel, but he got pretty close to it. He conquered most of the land, not all of the land, but most of the land. And some of the
Mhm.
judges conquered other bits of it, but because they were never fully devout to Yahweh, the land was not fully given over to their hands. So it was only whenever David was the man after God's own heart who served in the army for the glory of Yahweh. That's whenever the kingdoms fell. And during that time, David also fell, which I really want to make a video on. I just saw a play on David's life this last weekend, and it was awesome. I cried multiple times, and I don't usually cry. So, uh, Yeah, I kind of want to make something on David. David is such an yeah, I think he's the most interesting biblical character, which is quite a statement because I did like a 6-hour stream on Joseph.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long it'll take me to talk about David. Probably multiple weeks. I don't think I'll be able to do it in one stream. David is he's up there. Anyway, so we have Joshua being a mighty warrior, going out conquering, going out and giving the promised land over to his people. Jesus, as well as a mighty warrior, he's the one that carries a sword. He pointed a sword actually at David, which is a fun little story. So whenever David was king, Jesus pointed a sword at him and threatened him with death. And David was like, "Yep, I'm sorry, I messed up." So we have Jesus coming with the sword. He conquered the enemies, and then he also defeated death and sin and hell in order to bring people into the true promised land. So we have Joshua bringing them into the promised land through warfare and then the conquering and everything else. We have Jesus bringing us into the promised land through warfare, although the warfare is significantly shorter because he won. That's the end of the story, by the way. Jesus wins. So pretty cool. Sorry, like spoiler alert. Yeah. But Jesus wins, and you have all that. So there's a lot of the war stuff that is parallel between Jesus and Joshua. I could let you come up with like 5 or 6 things on your own, with him being like a leader and the type of battles that they led, and even the miraculous nature of the victories, like the sun standing still and the stones cast from heaven. There's a lot of it that goes hand in hand for the parallels on the war side of it. But I want to point out 2 interesting things. So Joshua, why did Joshua succeed? Because almost every leader of Israel after him failed in some major way. Joshua was really one of the only ones who didn't really fail. There were some times where it's like, oh, well, we didn't actually win at this time, but it's because the Israelites themselves were messing up, not necessarily because Joshua was messing up. Moses did have a couple mess ups. He had a couple slips. Joshua doesn't have any recorded, which is very interesting from like the Jewish idea of like, oh, the Jews are the ones who made up this story. Their main figure is Moses, yet Joshua is less sinful than Moses. Moses, the man who knew God face to face. Moses, the man who wrote the law. Moses, well, he received the law. Moses, the one who, led them out of captivity, brought them into salvation, like knew all, like God revealed himself and got the covenant name of Yahweh through him. All of that, and yet Joshua is like I wouldn't say better leader, but like he's at least portrayed in a way that's like there's not really anything negative about it. Like
he was kind
Joshua,
of rock solid, he was just and he was that way with Moses too. When Moses would go up on the mountain and Joshua would kind of sit guard up there. Just like loyalty personified, really. And very cool guy.
Yeah, well, even whenever they went and saw the giants, like David, for example, David is this is one of my favorite tidbits about the Bible. David got 5 smooth stones whenever he went to go fight Goliath. Why?
I don't think I've ever thought about that.
How many giants were there, according to Samuel?
Or just one, right?
No, he had 4 brothers.
Oh. But
there were 5 giants in the army of the Philistines.
So
there's only one at
I
that
knew he
battle.
had brothers because they talk about the brother getting killed who had 6 fingers and 6 toes, but I don't remember it ever being mentioned that they. I guess it doesn't mention they were present though, does it?
No.
So okay, so you're just kind of assuming that they were among the ranks.
Well, it says that they were in the army.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So he was going to go get to take all of them.
Yeah. So the Philistines. So there was war with the Philistines again at Job, and Elian, the son of Jerogim, looks weird. The Bethlehemite struck down Goliath the Gittite, the shaft of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. So This is Goliath's brother, likely Lamai. Especially whenever we look at the Hebrew, it's still Goliath again.
Yeah, Goliath
There's other
there.
places as yeah, there's other places as well that talks about the other brothers.
Yeah, what was his name?
In
Like Lahmi or something?
yeah, Lakmi is one of them. You also have Ishbabnum, no, Ishbibnub. You have Saf, and you have the six-handed or six-fingered dude. So you have this guy. He's one
Ishbibenob.
of the
Okay.
other Ishbibnabom, and he's one of the other giants. Who's the other brother? 18 talks about one of the other ones, Saf. Saf is one of the other giants. And then you have the unnamed dude, which is here. Then there was Morgath again. There was a man of great stature who had 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot. 24 number. He had also been born to the giants. So there were 5 giants in the land that David was about to go to war against. He picked up 1 stone per giant. Like this dude, he's
I
like
love that line. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Does it like
right,
he
yeah,
just he was fed up immediately. It's like, what are you guys? You're sitting here. Listen to this guy. Uh,
yeah.
awesome, awesome attitude.
Amazing attitude. This dude is
And then
like
they try to give him
14,
arm, and he's like,
15,
"It doesn't fit,
16.
guys. I'm good. I don't need this
Yeah,
stuff."
yeah. This is a post-pubescent, not fully grown boy. So he's like 15 or so. 15, 16. You at 16, imagine you having such faith that you went to go fight a dude who is like what 13 cubits, like
Like nine
13
and a half feet
meters,
tall, I think.
or possibly even taller, depends, like there's debate on it. But
Right,
at
right.
least 10, 13 feet. Uh, twice your height. Literally twice your height. Like you're looking up at him like that. Being a little 15-year-old kid, you grab a stone to slay him because God's gonna save you and protect you. You don't just grab one, you grab one for his brothers too. Because you're so confident in what you're about to do for the Lord that you go out and you slay the giants. Um, so like in my head, whenever I was like a young Christian, I was trying to rationalize. It's like, oh well, he got 5. He needs some
Backup.
backup, I guess. If
Mm.
you miss one, you have extras. No, 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 no. He had much greater faith than that.
He
He
was
needed
gonna take
1
down
stone
the all
per
of the guy.
giant. Yes, 1 stone per giant is all that he needed. So, and they fell at the hand of David and his servants. So David slayed not just Goliath; he slayed all 5 giants eventually. Based. Anyway,
And
um,
I'm sitting here panicking, trying to slay the one of the tiniest creatures in the world that keeps trying to drink my precious blood. I, I need that stuff.
uh,
It keeps. It's like I'm good. I think okay, but we're good. And then all of a sudden I'm like back into what we're talking about, and then I see this big fat horrible thing, and then it just disappears into the silly darkness. People are gonna be like
uh,
tuning in after I've made aware of the presence of the mosquito, and they're just going to see me like looking around like that one funny video of Hillary Clinton when there was the balloons or something, and she looks like her head is like on a ball bearing. Mosquito, everybody,
uh,
mosquito. It's a mosquito. That's at least that's what my excuse for now.
okay. So you have the giant slain, which I don't remember how I got exactly on that tangent. Um, but we have him being a great man of war, and then he trusts God. He has this relationship with him where the reason Joshua succeeded is because he was a perfect role model of the faith that was required to serve Yahweh. Um, which is very interesting. So it wasn't because he was a great military leader. It wasn't because he was like Samson. He wasn't born with this massive strength and power. He and the Israelites who lived in the desert, who grew up in the desert, they were successful because they directly relied on Yahweh. They trusted in him in a way that the people before them and the people after them didn't. So it is Joshua's faithfulness to God's commands and his obedience to serve him that led to the salvation of the people, led to them being brought into the promised land. In the same way, Jesus, not through might, not through power, but by obedience to the Father, obedience to the law, by his righteousness, he was given victory, and he then offers that now as salvation to humanity. So you have Joshua and Jesus both doing similar roles in that. And then we
Joshua
also
1
have,
8. That's to
yes,
to to sum it all up, Chris. Joshua 1
so
8.
okay, I'll go back there. Fine. I was going to talk about this later, but we'll talk about it now. So now, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. I even have it highlighted for you. Happy? Um, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it, for then you will make your ways successful, and then you will be prosperous. So,
And this is where we also get, is it
how is
three
he
times God
prosperous?
says, be strong and courageous? It's a great line. And I love that it's repeated as many times it is, because
Yeah,
it's God's really saying, look, you know, you, you can, you can have this attitude. You'll be good. I'm with you.
right. No, it's not the same word. That's sad.
Oh,
I
okay.
was
That's, I
wondering
was like,
if
what the
this.
heck? All that Hebrew's all wiggly diggly. And it's you've got the Greek pulled up.
Hold on, let me go back to the cute one. All right.
Ah, there
Now, I
we
was
go.
curious if courageous there or be strong was related to Tharsete. Um, it's not. It's a different Greek word, which is a little sad. Um, anyway, yeah. So the reason why Joshua was able to succeed, the reason why he was special, the reason why he was the leader that he was, because he faithfully followed all of the commands of Yahweh, even whenever it seemed silly. Like, for example, the walls of Jericho. That's a
Hmm.
very silly thing to do, rationally speaking. Marching around the city for a full week, blowing a trumpet each day. Uh, that seems a little silly, especially because Jericho's not that big of a city. So it would take them like 2 hours to march around the whole thing, and then they're done for the day. And it's like, okay. I mean, they have to conquer the city because it's a stronghold, but it's not like an empire's like main city. It's not like Nineveh or like some big city that had a couple thousand people in it.
If we
So
get to it, I didn't know how much. I didn't know if we were going trying to just zoom through big points through the whole book, or if we were going through it chapter by chapter. But I've got some shofars to if it might be a supplementary interest to the viewers. I
I
probably,
had
if
an
I blow
intrusive thought
them,
to take
it.
the shofar you had in your living room home with me.
Don't worry, I got backup. I actually have four. You know, they did this really cool thing. There's a kosher grocery store around where I live, and Jews call it the upcoming holy day that's next is biblically it's called Yom Teruah, or the day of loud noise, basically.
Mm,
But they call it Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and it's not really that, but they did this thing where at the kosher grocery store you could take your family and your kids and you could make your own shofar. They had the horns and we would drill them out and hollow out the mouthpiece a little bit. So when my boys were little, we went, and it was always so funny whenever I'd do like this was Jewish. This was not Christian Jewish, and I'd take them there, and I've got my tzitziot on, and I have blue in mine, and they generally just have white. And so I show up and they all look at me and they're like, that what's wrong with that weird Jew? He looks kind of like us, but he's not correct. But they were really nice and welcoming. And me and my boys went up and we like, uh, you don't really make a ram's horn, but you have to modify it to be trumpety.
instrument.
And so I
Yeah.
still got those two things. And then, but I also have a really cool, I've always wanted one. Sadly, the first shofar I ever bought in my life back in 2008, no, 2007. So it was kind of a treasured thing for me. But my brother's dog, we would bring it if when we'd celebrate like Passover or Sukkot at their house, and they had a
Oh, he wants to
dog
chew
that
on
got
it.
a hold of it, and I can't blame the
Yeah,
dog. It's probably a very fun chew toy, and so it
yeah.
didn't make it. It still works, but it's just a shadow of its former self. So a couple years ago, I bought one of those really
At least it
cool.
wasn't a
The
pig that
long
chewed on it.
the which one?
At least it wasn't a pig that chewed on it.
Oh. So I got one of those. I was like, I've always wanted one. I got one of those big, long. What is it? It's not the ibex. Ibex is one of those cool, like looks like a
The
narwhal, right?
mm,
Kudu.
yeah.
No, that's the kudu. I think I have the maybe the ibex one. Either
The
way, it's
ibex, I
really
think, is
cool.
the big circly one. If I remember
Okay,
correctly.
yeah, I've got one that's
It's
like
been a second since I
twisty
looked at one.
because the it's really
Uh,
cool. Now
mm,
the Jews don't allow you to make. The rabbis say you can't make a horn out of a cow horn because they say it reminds God of the sin of the golden calf, and that's a fun story. And when we talk about shofars, they are generally a
uh,
ram's horn, but I don't think
right,
God has a problem with a cow horn. It's just not, it's not what they did generally. So
right. Not. I mean, I actually gonna. No, I'll wait. I don't. There is mentions of ram's horns specifically in the Tanakh. I don't remember if he commands that the shofars have to be specifically ram or not. I don't
no,
think they do.
I think the word is just generally assumed to be shofar
Animal.
refers to a ram's horn. Uh,
Mm,
but Jews generally say like any kosher animal horn is acceptable.
mm.
But just traditionally, it's always been from a ram. So I do have a ram's horn, but I also have one of those cool big windy ones because they're just cool.
They are cool. So continuing on, there's two more points to the typology before we go through Josh one systematically. So we'll probably go through 1 and 2 today, but we're already under an hour. And I only have a couple more notes before we actually start the verse by verse. So we might actually be able to get to like 5 today. And then we're not going to go past 5. I'm already going to tell you like 5 is going to take at least an hour by itself. So, well, we can go through at least 1 through 4 today, maybe. Then Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem and called for the elders of Israel and their heads and their judges and the officers. And they presented themselves before God. So at this location, they then have all the people go back and they are now presenting themselves before God. And Joshua reestablishes the covenant with them that their fathers broke, that Moses established for them, that they were sprinkled with in blood, but they were not old enough to be under it directly by the blood of the animal that was sacrificed by Moses. So now he's reinstituting this to the people at the end of Joshua. This is Joshua 24. And Joshua said to all the people, "Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, from ancient times your fathers lived beyond the river, namely Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nahor, and they served other gods," which is where the entire idea of Abraham smashing idols comes from. This one verse in the
Ah,
Bible is the entirety of where Abraham smashing idols comes from, is that
wow.
Terah was an idol worshiper. Yeah, literally that. So all of the mythology, all of the nonsense, all the stuff that we see in the Quran comes from that verse, and then Jews making it into a tale. Starting in Jubilees, ending up in Talmud, and then developing the most in Midrash. So, actually, Bereshit Rabbah probably predates the Talmud. So you could say Jubilees, Midrash, Talmud, and eventually Quran. But then I took your father Abraham from beyond the river and led him through all the land of Canaan and multiplied his seed and gave him Isaac. To Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. To Esau I gave Mount Seir to possess it. But Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses. So then he's kind of recapping the way like Stephen does a little bit. And then he's like, yeah, then I bring you out, but you were not willing to listen. But I was not willing to listen to Balaam because Balaam wanted to curse you. So he blessed you repeatedly, and I delivered you from his hand. Who was the one that actually did this, by the way? The
Oh,
angel of
you're
Yahweh.
right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought you were saying. was like, is Chris okay? Because he just said Balaam. You were saying who's the one who did the blessing.
Who's the one who is doing this, the actual, so like who is the one in Numbers who is talking to Balaam,
Hmm.
and then he curses them through it. It's
Yeah.
not Yahweh, it's the angel of Yahweh. And yeah, it's Yahweh
Hmm.
speaking here. So Yahweh speaking, taking credit for something the angel of Yahweh does. And the reverse happens in Judges 2, where the angel of the Lord takes credit for what Yahweh did.
Hmm.
So you have them taking credit for each other, in the first person and in the third person. It's pretty interesting. And you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho, and the citizens of Jericho fought against you, and the Amorite, and the Perizzite, and the Canaanite, and the Hivite, and the Jerseyite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Thus I gave them into your hand. And then all these things. So then he sends out the people, and then you conquered the cities. You were given vineyards and olive groves which you did not plant. So now fear Yahweh and serve him in integrity and truth, and put away the gods of which your fathers served beyond the river, and in Egypt, and serve Yahweh. If it is evil in your sight to serve Yahweh, choose for yourselves today whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served, which were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve Yahweh. But the people answered and said, far be it from us that we should forsake Yahweh to serve other gods. For Yahweh our God is he who brought us and our fathers up out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery, and who did these great signs in our sight, and kept us through all the way in which we went, and among all the peoples through whose midst we passed. And Yahweh drove out from before us all the peoples, even the Amorites who lived in the land. We also serve Yahweh, for he is our God. Then Joshua said to the people, you will not be able to serve Yahweh, for he is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions or your sins, which is the same language applied to the angel of Yahweh. Imagine that.
Hmm.
If you forsake Yahweh and serve foreign gods, then he will turn and do harm and consume you after he has done good to you. And then they're like, no, we will serve Yahweh. So this is almost identical to what's happening at Moses and during Moses' time. So he's reestablishing the covenant. He's giving this covenant again. We see Jesus doing the same thing, where Jesus gives the new covenant with the people, except now it allows in the Gentiles. Granted, the old covenant also kind of allowed in the Gentiles because they served there were Egyptians that left with them and camped around the tabernacle with Moses' camp. And then they gathered and collected Gentiles as they were traveling through the desert. And they gathered and collected Gentiles in the land itself. So before this point, you have like 6 different Gentile tribes align or full on becoming subservient to Israel. So this covenant is kind of both with Jew and Gentile,
Yeah. Well, when
even
they
though I
left
think Jews
Egypt,
would,
remember a lot of Egyptians left with them.
right. Yeah. So you have both people groups being represented with this, and it's really neat. So you have the new covenants, or a reestablishment of covenants between Joshua and Jesus. You have a very, very, very interesting thing here. Here's Jericho, right?
Hmm.
Um, so they stopped here at Shittim, and they crossed the Jordan, and then the Jordan backs up, and all the water's back there. Then they conquer Jericho, and they camp at Gilgal outside of Jericho. So like, if I zoom in really really tight, um, we have them at Shittim. They cross, they camp at Gilgal, and then they march around the city a bunch of times, which is also why you see the little purple circle. They go around the. I might need to make it a little bit bigger. Whoop. So they're going around it, and then they eventually destroy it. But we have this crossing of the Jordan at this location, and they gather the stones and they make a an altar there that symbolizes who they are, where they came from, and what God did for them. Okay, most people know the story. Pretty basic. Interesting thing that happens where, because this is not the only time the Jordan was stopped. Who else stopped the Jordan?
Was Elijah, right?
Yeah. Where did he
He
stop
struck
that?
it with his, or was it was Elijah?
The
Or,
staff.
yeah, 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 or
Elijah
with
and
his
Elisha.
cloak, right? Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think Elijah was the staff and Elisha was the cloak of Elijah,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. It's been a bit since I read that specific passage, but
Mm,
both of them stopped up the river because Elisha was copying his teacher Elijah.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Elisha and Elijah both crossed the Jordan at the exact same location. Okay, so this crossing past Jericho is the same place that Elijah and Elisha also stopped up the river for it to go backwards. So we have Joshua doing this thing, and later you have Elijah doing this thing. Do you want to take a guess as to where Jesus was baptized? He's baptized here, the same location,
Well,
more than
isn't
likely.
that swell?
Yeah, there's some debate about it. So like they also have this a possible version of Bethany beyond the river up here. We're gonna go
Okay.
through why I don't believe that's the case, but that is Lexingham's press's position. This is actually a debate in scholarship right now. The accepted historical site is specifically this location. The
Okay.
Bethany beyond the Jordan is right here. There's actually a church built there right now that you can go to. And that church was built in like the 300s and 200s. So this is a very ancient site for the worship of Jesus at that place, kind of like the Holy Sepulchre. So we have this Bethany beyond the Jordan. He crossed at the same place that the Jordan was stopped twice before, once by Joshua, and I guess technically twice by Elijah and Elisha. But let's focus in on Elijah for a second, because Elisha did it through the spirit of Elijah that came onto him. So
Mm.
we have Elijah. Who is Elijah in the New Testament?
He represents the prophets.
He does. He's also John the Baptist, or John the
Oh,
Baptist
yeah,
as
right,
the
right,
spirit of
right.
Elijah.
Hmm.
John the Baptist was baptizing people in the wilderness of Judea, which is right here, just northeast of the Dead Sea. So John just so happened to choose the same location that Elijah crossed the Jordan to baptize people in the Jordan. So John the Baptist is baptizing people in the Jordan at the location that Elijah did, which is very interesting. He's also wearing the camel hair and he's eating locusts, and that's literally a description of Elijah the Tishbite in the Old Testament. So John the Baptist matches the physical description of Elijah in the Old Testament, and he's baptizing in the location in which the Jordan crossing happened.
Well, and
Jesus
also another,
leaves,
oops, sorry, there's a delay.
sorry. So Jesus leaves Galilee and travels down to where John the Baptist is to be baptized by him, which is extremely, extremely interesting. We have a lot of evidence for this, and I actually want to bring up a very pretty mural. So let me stop that and let me bring that up on the screen. If you want to bring up what you're going to talk about.
Oh, what I was going to say is, like when in Hebrews, when it talks about coming through the Red Sea, it's mentioned as like a baptism, and so crossing through
Yes.
between the waters is even in biblical speech uh, paralleled with baptism. So that's very interesting. Then what you're talking about here, Chris, with if Jesus was baptized there, where maybe Joshua crossed and also Elijah crossed. Uh, that's super interesting.
It is indeed. So you obviously have the baptism. You have also the new birth. Every time Israel is delivered, they cross waters. So I've went over
Oh,
this
I
on my
have
stream a while ago.
this mosaic. Is this a mosaic? I think I
Oh,
have a
yeah, this is the Madaba map,
yeah. I
which is
think I have an
currently
actual
the
like a
Greek
is it a
Orthodox.
facsimile? Is that what it's called of it
Yeah,
in one of my books? I have like a book
Oh,
on this.
yeah. So this is a map from the, I believe, the late 6th century, or mid 6th century. You can look up the Madaba map. This is in a Greek Orthodox church in the Middle East right now. It's very, 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 very old. You can still go look at it. Probably bring up what the actual. It's fairly large. See if they have an image on the floor.
Well, I will relieve you of my delayed interruptions while I go relieve myself. And I will return very shortly after I, tune into this other live stream I've got going on. But
All right, as long
like,
as you're listening, because it's still pretty based.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But call me Arnold
Well, this is
Schwarzenegger because I'll be Mozart or however that quote goes.
okay.
Sorry, stupid joke.
So a lot of really interesting things happening here visually. So for Steven listening, for anyone else listening, you should probably watch right now. But we have this city down here is Jerusalem. The city up here is actually Zorah, which is where Lot escaped to. So I don't know if you can actually see the. It takes a while to zoom in, and I zoomed in way too much. Okay. I'm also making some pretty egregious sounds, so I apologize for that. Zorah here. This is the city that Lot escaped to. We actually have other evidences of where this city is, but this is the Dead Sea here. So this big old thing here is the Dead Sea. And then out of it, this is the Jordan. Yeah, so the Jordan River. So if you're looking at a map, you should orientate it 90 degrees to the right. And then we have these two fishies representing Jesus and other neat little things. But what is, if I zoom in, so like down here, this is Jerusalem. Up here, there's a couple interesting things. So this right here, this dividing point is called Bethabara or Bethany. And then you have Tota, and this is basically, oh, I can't, okay. Yanoa Eona Toba Baptismium, or baptismato, whatever, is baptism. So the literal translation is Bethany, where the Saint John baptized, or this is where the baptism of Saint John happened, or this is where Saint John baptized. Like, there's lots of different ways to translate this, but this is basically identified as the location in which Jesus was baptized. So we have a map from the 6th century talking about where Jesus was actually baptized at, and it just so happens to also be the location that Elijah crossed and the location that Joshua crossed. So you have Joshua, who's representative of Jesus in a variety of ways, crossing the river on dry ground, and then Jesus going back into this river and then being baptized. So one dry, one wet, for different purposes. But Joshua crossed it from the wilderness outward in order to be bringing the people new life. Jesus went into it from the inside and then went back into the inside because he was for the Jews. Then eventually everything spills out into the Gentile land, and all the world gets saved, and it's just based all around. But yeah, this is a very, very old map in Greek that shows where Jesus was baptized. And at that location, you have a bunch of, it's a very deep tell. So you have a lot of old church ruins in that location. You have also like the pilgrimage sites. So Theodosius in the like early 500s and Egeria in the late 300s, they both talk about pilgrims to the church at that location. You have the pilgrim of Bordeaux in 333 AD, which said, so this is a writing of the time, this said that the location in which Jesus was baptized was 5 miles north of the Dead Sea, which is where the Jordan is. So, you go 5 miles north on the Jordan, that's roughly the same distance where that map has it, and it's roughly the same distance where they would have been crossing opposite Jericho. So you have a lot of interesting tidbits to point to the fact that Jesus was baptized in the same place that the Israelites crossed the Jordan River. I think that's really nifty. I think that's pretty neat. Um, so let's get back into the Bible. Unless people have thoughts about that in the chat, anyone wants to bring up. But let me go ahead and bring back Jeshua. And we're just going to go back through and cover all of Joshua 1 and all of Joshua 2. While the slippery one is currently peeing, I can maybe get through 8 without him talking. We'll see. So now it came about after the death of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, that Yahweh spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' attendant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. So now arise, cross this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I'm giving to them, to the sons of Israel. Every place in which the sole of your feet treads, I have given it to you, just as I spoke to Moses. From the wilderness in this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and as far as the great sea toward the setting of the sea, or towards the setting of the sun, will be your territory. So the great sea is the Mediterranean. So this is the boundaries of the land. It's actually a good bit bigger than modern day Israel. Modern day Israel would need to conquer a good bit of most of the countries surrounding them to actually get the fullness of the land that was promised to them by God. Now, whether or not that'll actually happen in our lifetimes, I have no idea. In Zechariah, it talks about Israel basically setting off a nuke that causes peace. So hopefully we don't have nuclear war in our lifetimes, and that was actually prophesied thousands of years ago. But there's a chance that we could have nuclear war as prophesied in the Bible, or at least an interpretation of the prophecy in the Bible. If people are interested, I can pull that up. I think it's Zechariah 10. But yeah, there's a prophecy that talks about people melting away, their eyes melt away in their sockets, their tongues melt away in their mouths, and then they waste away while standing. So they die and their body disintegrates so quickly that they stand during the whole process. Sounds vaguely nuclear. And then because of this reaction, all the nations on the earth and around them give peace to Israel. Pretty interesting. But no man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life, just as I have been with you. Sorry. Just as I have been with Moses, I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land which I swore to the fathers to give them. This is the first strong and courageous. Then there's the 2 others. So there's 2 before him saying, keep the law in your heart all times and on your mind and meditate on it. And then there's 1 afterward. So, you should be strong and courageous. But I want to bring up Matthew 28. Because this is actually paralleled in the New Testament. So this idea of I will be with you, I will not fail you or forsake you. This is Yahweh speaking, right? So Yahweh is speaking, and yet in Matthew 28, we have Jesus giving basically the same thing. And behold, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. He is like pointing backwards to the promise of Yahweh to the nation of Israel as they entered into the promised land, even though they can't see Yahweh the way that they used to be able to in the desert, because they saw Yahweh physically daily in the desert. They saw him meet with Moses for 40 years. So they knew Yahweh personally. They experienced him personally. And then he went away. And when he went away, they fell into the period of the judges where they abandoned God. God was away for 1 generation. Within 1 generation, they had already fallen away. Now we have here Yahweh again, the Son, coming to them physically, beholding them for years. And then he says, hey, I'm going away, but behold, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age. I'm not going to forsake you just because you don't see me. I am still with you. And we get the same promise by Yahweh in Joshua to the Israelites, specifically to Joshua 1-on-1. So I will not fail you or forsake you. Just because you don't know him, you don't see him, doesn't mean he's not there. And because of his absence, you should be strong and courageous. It's much easier to be strong and courageous whenever you literally have a pillar of fire behind you, who is the God that just rescued you from Egypt. Whenever that God is not there anymore, it's much easier to be fearful. So he's telling them to be strong and courageous, for you shall inherit this land. Very interesting that Jesus uses similar language, almost as if Jesus is God and Jesus is Yahweh and Jesus did all these things and Jesus is actually the one speaking here. Anyway, I did a stream on that if you want to check it out. Only be strong and very courageous, to be careful to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn aside from it to the right or to the left, so that you may be prosperous wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so you may be careful to do accordingly to all that is written in it. For then you will make your ways successful, and then you will be prosperous. So, you are prosperous by following the law, and you go, oh, this is not just the law for us Christians, this is also the New Testament, it's the prophets. We should meditate on the Bible. We should have it renew. Paul talks about this, the washing of the word on your mind. So he gives this advice to Joshua for him to be a good leader, for him to follow the law, for him to live in a heart posture that's in concordance with God and what he wants for us. And then in Paul, we have the same thing where you have your mind washed day and night by the reading of the word, and that will keep you walking with the Holy Spirit. It'll keep you in edification. It'll keep you in sanctification. It will grow you, mature you, and it'll keep you close to God. So then you can withstand temptation, you can withstand struggle, and you can get through all the difficulties that are going to come to you, because they will come to you. So Joshua is about to go through the most difficult point in his life. Arguably, I guess the desert was pretty rough, but outside of the desert is also pretty rough, and it's roughly the same amount of time. So Joshua's about to go through this really rough period of time, and God is still telling him to be courageous, meditate on my word, allow me to guide you, be with me. And that's good advice we should be doing too. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be in dread or be dismayed, for Yahweh your God is with you wherever you go. So again, kind of like a Jesus. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the midst of the camp and command the people, saying, prepare provisions for yourselves. For within 3 days you are to cross this Jordan to go into the possess the land which Yahweh your God is giving you to possess it. To the Reubenites and to the Gadites and to the half tribe of Manasseh, Joshua said, remember the word which Moses the servant of Yahweh commanded you, saying, Yahweh your God gives you rest and will give you this land. Your wives and your little ones and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you beyond the Jordan. So this is towards the east. But you shall cross before your brothers in battle array, all your valiant warriors, and shall help them, until Yahweh gives your brothers rest as he gives you rest. And they also possess the land which Yahweh your God has given them. So just because they are settling outside of the promised land because they wanted to, if you aren't aware of the story, go read the Torah. Even if you are aware of the story, go read the Torah. So we have them still having to go out, still having to serve. So even if you're already in your promised land, that doesn't mean that you should not now go help your brothers who are not in their promised land yet. Then you shall return to the land of your possession and possess it, with which Moses, the servant of Yahweh, gave you beyond the Jordan to the east toward the sunrise. And they answered Joshua, saying, all that you have commanded us we will do, and wherever you send us we will go. So this is such an amazing response from the Israelites. It's one of the only good responses the Israelites ever give in the Bible. I did a stream with Ash last Monday, I think, and we talked about like who is the primary antagonist of the Bible. It's a weird thought. Well, who is the protagonist? God. It's not him. It's not Stephen.
It's not
it's God.
Oh, I'm in.
God.
Oh, yeah.
God is the primary protagonist. He's the good guy. He's the hero. God is the hero of the Bible. The antagonist is not actually Satan. Satan actually is a very minor character in the Bible. The primary antagonist of God in the Bible is Israel. So this is one of the very few times. Yeah, his chosen ones are the ones that he's at odds with the majority of the Bible, which is again evidence towards the reliability of the Old Testament. When we talk about like, why would Jews make any of this up?
Right.
They wouldn't.
And
Yeah,
also shines light on when people have the wrong idea of what chosen means. It
right.
doesn't mean superior, and it's even defined. God says, "I didn't choose you because you were a big people or a mighty people. I chose you because you were small." It's you know, it plays very nicely into the very satanic Jew hating worldly mindset of kill the Jews because through them we got the law and the living law, Jesus. That's why the world hates the Jews. It's not because they're good with money or they're conniving or they're this or that. It's because through the Jews, God chose them to bring both his written word and his living word to the world for the purpose of defeating evil. And they had nothing to do with it. It wasn't that was the point. God chose them because it was that would be the stupidest thing to do. So it's not an egotistical thing or a superiority thing. Now, obviously, some Jews take it that way, but for Jew hating Christians and all those weirdo dummies who do all the sorts of things they do, that's not what it means scripturally, and it's you can define it scripturally. So that's my little thing.
I was making
I'm
fun of the people
back.
on Discord. Yes, you're back. I'm gonna leave soon so I can get water because my throat is parched. Um, I'm also gonna go pee, so I'm gonna do my live stream while you plot some downfall of me, I guess.
That was the old days. You know, I've been reformed. And also, my screen, I saw a notification on my phone, which I use as my camera. And so now I actually, my little laptop monitor over here is on like a probably like a 15-second delay. And Chris also just now took down the on-screen Bible. So now I guess I have no choice but to plot against Chris. Or what I was going to do is uh, some people had mentioned a couple times about me making videos of going over some things in Hebrew, and uh, actually just started. I started my channel because to me it's very important to get the message out that Christianity for so long has had the wrong attitude towards the law of Moses, and I really want to that's all I really want to make videos on is trying to bring awareness to the beauty of the law and hopefully change some people's mindsets as to what the law is and what it's for and what it means for us as followers of Jesus. But if there are people that think that they would benefit or enjoy videos of maybe even just going over a couple verses, just reading it in the Hebrew and going over the words. I would have fun doing that if people are interested. So if that's something that people would like, I would be happy to do that. But I do think like Chris has been so wonderful and welcoming to a an alleged slippery Judaizer like myself, who is very pro law and we share a lot in common. We differ on kind of like a very particular hinge point of whether there's a should or a could to keeping the law, and that's the, but I think maybe might be softening up a little bit. He looks look at that little banner running across the bottom of the screen. That's a pretty cool banner to see. Because
Literally have
sometimes you
bacon
could
to
go
me.
on other people's channels and the people that are watching when you say, hey, but what about this, what about this, and they say, well, that's slippery Judaizer, you know, he needs to read Romans. And so I've read Romans a lot of times, and I think Romans says a great deal. Romans says the law is holy and righteous and good, and the law shows us what is sin and what is not sin. And so I think those people probably ought to read Romans. But for now, we're in Joshua. And how's that for a segue, Chris?
I had bacon today.
You Well, that's kind of a segue stopper. That's pretty cool. I mean, Joshua would not agree with you.
No, he would
Joshua would be
not. Yeah,
angry
you're
with
right.
you.
He would be very angry with me, dude.
So would Jesus, and also, if people stop cutting short the vision in Acts, they would see that Peter would also not be happy about that. And also in Acts 27, I think. No, maybe it's 24, when Paul is on trial and he says, I have done nothing against the law of the Jews to this day. So there's no bacon eating Paul either. Unless you want to say Paul's a liar. I wouldn't do that. I personally would not say that about Paul. But some people would, because sometimes they like to taste bacon.
To be entirely fair, I think bacon is the only non-kosher thing I eat. Because I don't like seafood. So I don't eat
Mm.
shellfish. I don't want to taste pee in my mouth whenever I eat food. So anything
Sean
that lives in the
Connery,
water tastes like pee.
when Sean Connery is stingy, he's being shellfish. Good night, everybody.
So I think bacon is the only the only thing I eat that is actually not kosher. I mean, obviously I'm not going to ever follow rabbinic practices. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I had bacon and cheese. Oh no, double rabbinic failure.
Cheeseburger, that's good, and that's perfectly A-okay with God.
It's pasta. Delicious. Anyway, so I mean, honestly, the only kosher thing I'd have to change for my diet, because I actually think most meat butchered is technically kosher, just because the standard of blood is the same today versus then, but that's its own thing. I think the only diet change I'd have to make would just be bacon. Because I don't like sausage. I don't like pork chops. Ham, I guess, as well. So ham and bacon. The only
Mm.
non-kosher things I eat. So anyway. Joshua. So they answered Joshua, saying, all that we have commanded us we will do. Wherever you send us, we will go, which is the only time the Israelites really got it. They were really right. And just so it just happened to take an entire generation of people dying in the desert and then wandering for 40 years to get the right heart condition, the right mental condition, and them literally being fed by God and watered by God for 40 years, walking with him, seeing him, worshiping him. That's all it took to get 1.5 generations to actually follow Yahweh. That's all.
There's that that funny
1.5.
saying that it took one night to get Israel out of Egypt, but it took 40 years to get Egypt out of Israel.
Right. Yes. Good to see you as well. And right now I'm Goyish. So, just as we listen to Moses in all things, so we will listen to you. Only may Yahweh your God be with you as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against your command and does not listen to your words and all that you command him shall be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. So now they are also repeating this slogan, which is interesting. So it's the people responding to Joshua, and they are responding with this strong and courageous thing as well. So you have the trifold repetition by God, then you have the agreement. It's kind of like an amen here. It's the agreement by the Jews that they are going to follow him and they're going to be strong and courageous.
And I
believe
at the end
this
of
is what
every
kept them out.
Sorry, the delay's striking again, Chris.
I'm just gonna say it real quick. This is what kept them out of the promised land to begin with, is they were cowardly. So now he's commanding them be strong and courageous, go fight the giants. Then they were not strong and courageous, they were scared of the giants. So, good.
Oh yeah, I was a little bit off. At the end of every Torah portion, my phone is all goofed up, so I can't actually see if anybody can see. But it's a thing that when you finish a Torah portion in the synagogue, uh, everybody says together "Hazak, Hazak, Venit Hazek," which is not exactly that's Hazak ve'ematz or ve'emetz, I think. Uh, but yeah, be strong. It's it's a very lovely sentiment because we obviously Israel tried to be strong when they chickened out first going to the promised land. And then God says, well, okay, you guys did that. Now here's what's going to happen. And they say, oh, no, never mind. We're going to go. And then they say, oh, you got a mosquito, Chris? Wait, that must be the Yod, the Yod squad.
I'm trying to get to focus on the odd.
There we go. Ooh. Oh, wow. Yours is
Oh,
nicer than mine. Mine is wood all the way down, but you got more substantial metal happening there.
also kind of looks like you're flicking you off. Let's see if focus.
Reminds me of when I was a kid, I had a toy. I never saw the Terminator movies, but I had Terminator toys because they were pretty cool. Back when I was a kid, they still made cool toys. And there was this one Terminator who, like, you could take the skin off of his arm and there'd be the metal arm underneath. And wow, that's my second Arnold Schwarzenegger reference for the night. That's weird. I never talk about that guy.
Oh, it's funny. Okay. So then Joshua the son of Nun sent 2 men as spies secretly from Shittim, saying, go see the land, especially Jericho. So they went and came into the house of a harlot whose name was Rahab. Rahab is very important.
Mhm.
Who is Rahab?
She is the ancestor of a very important person.
Indeed. Which is super interesting. So, like Rahab, I kind of want to focus on a little bit. Rahab is a Gentile woman. She's a Canaanite. So she's a Canaanite woman who's also a harlot. So not a virgin, not a woman of you know, honor.
Piety.
She is piety. She is a woman who sells her body for money. And yet she is a Gentile woman who does this. She is the great great grandmother of David and the great 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 grandmother of Jesus. So 17 greats for Jesus and 2 greats for David. So she is the ancestor of Jesus. Jesus has Canaanite blood in him. He has
Canaanite
Gentile
prostitute.
blood in him. Canaanite prostitute blood in him. And she's even mentioned, she's one of the 4 women mentioned by name in the genealogy of Jesus in Matthew. Matthew has 4 women. It has Bathsheba, who is called the wife of Uriah, not even the wife of David, the wife of
Right.
Uriah, which is like, wow. You have Rahab, a prostitute. You have Mary, who's being accused of like basically prostitution
Harlotry.
with
Yeah.
Roman soldiers. Yeah. And who's the last woman? Sarah? Hold on. Matthew 1. Tamar. Oh yeah, Tamar. So you have 2
Oh yeah,
harlots. You have Tamar and
And
Rahab.
Tamar.
Oh,
And
Ruth and
she did
Bathsheba
some.
and
I mean,
Mary.
in the
5 women
situation,
total.
it's understandable, but she did some shady dealings too. Tamar.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So imagine like we talk about the embarrassment within the Bible.
Hmm.
Your God, the Messiah, the Son of David, is through a line that includes 2 prostitutes, one of which was a Gentile, another woman who kind of like threw herself at Boaz, um, with the whole like being at his feet and putting her hair on his
Yeah,
like his feet
I've
and the garment
always
and all that stuff.
found
And
that that section. I feel like you could read it
yeah,
so many ways. and I
Yeah,
never really settled on which way is the right way to read it.
it seems
So
suggestive that she was at least very forward, if
okay,
not extremely brazen, in her attempt to wed Boaz, which
okay,
was successful. To be fair, was successful.
hmm,
But you have Ruth, which is also like her background. She's a widow, so she's
hmm,
also not of you know the status you would expect of an ancestor of the Messiah. You have Rahab, which is the opposite of what you would expect. Tamar, which is the opposite of what you would expect.
right.
And then you have Bathsheba, who the first kid they had who died was conceived likely through some form of coercion. Um, like imagine that, like your parents got together basically through grape of some sort, whether it was like literally forced or whether it was just like he's the king, so therefore she can't really like say no, or like mentally she didn't like have that facility to say no to a king,
Or
especially
even,
David of all people.
I mean, even
Like
it could
David
have
was a
been that
celebrity,
she was completely consenting.
right?
Either
But
way, it's not. She's not like. There's no
right,
heroicism in any of this.
it's adultery. It's either
Hmm,
adultery or it's adultery and grape.
hmm,
Um, Either way that happens, then he murders her husband. Um,
right.
and then there's a war with her dad and Uriah. No, it was Uriah's dad, her grandfather. Like there was a war that happens immediately after with David. Again, I just really want to talk about David, but there's a lot of really neat stuff there. But like
Well, and
these are
that does
four
go back to
women.
what you were saying, though, Chris. Is like David. If you're going to have a hero that you get the God man's genealogy from, these are not things that you would broadcast. And that's why when you brought up, like, look, even in the genealogy, it says the wife of Uriah. That
Yeah,
would be the first thing in the world you would want to put. Also, I mean, first of all, if you're making it up, you wouldn't include that. You wouldn't include even her in the
right,
genealogy. But then you
right.
do include her because it's most likely, obviously true. But then you go out of your way to point out David's sin. It's this is not what people do when they invent god myths or ancient heroes.
Yeah. I went over this in my first stream on the channel, which is me going through Matthew 1, and I had music playing in the
Oh, that's the
background.
one, the famous,
Um,
the pesky music one.
yeah, yeah, the first stream I ever did. It was bad. So you have Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba. All four of these women have questionable past. All four of these women have objections people could give against them,
Controversy, yeah.
as does Mary.
Yeah,
She's a virgin. She was a virgin birth. They're like, oh well, she obviously just cheated on Joseph.
right.
So there's these rumors going around about her as well. So I think he actually includes these women to not only highlight what God has used women for, but also to like exonerate Mary a little bit. Like, hey, don't be offended that Mary is who she is and all these things that are
Oh,
being said about her. When
that's
you
an
think about
interesting
like
take on
Tamar
that.
and Rahab and Bathsheba, like the situations with them, and yet God used them and the son of David comes through them. Because all of this
Hmm,
is undisputed. All of that is
right,
David.
right.
So you have four questionable women who, the wife of David, and then the mother or grandmother, and then the great grandmother, and then the great grandmother. Like all of these women had questionable histories, yet they're still included. So Mary is can be included as well, even though people are saying these things about her, even though you're uneasy about the statements about her, it's okay. You can accept her. You can accept that this is part of God's plan. Um,
Yeah, and
so
we haven't even, I mean, we're on a bit of a different topic, but we haven't even gone over some of these very not wholesome male figures in the line, like Rehoboam. I don't
oh
know how you would
yeah.
say that in
Oh,
English. Solomon's son,
Yeah,
Rehoboam.
Rehoboam.
He was terrible. I mean, he's the one who caused the divide between Israel and Judah. It used to just be all one people. And then he makes the famous claim that his pinky is thicker than his father's something
Mm-hmm.
else. And then the people are
Mm-hmm.
like, well, okay, you go, you can have your house and your tribe. And if you're going to be like that, then that's it with you. But there he is in the lineage as well. I mean, he's famously horrible.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of these other guys are pretty awful too.
Yeah.
I mean even some of these guys are not necessarily the best. Um, it's very interesting the fact that they point out like the sin and failures of pretty much all these dudes,
Hmm.
and
Which is
yet
also,
they're
though, I
still
mean,
included.
it's we're using it kind of as a polemic, but as just as it stands, if we're just like learning about this, what a wonderful thing to see that look what God took and what became of it. I mean, it's kind of a message to everybody, you know. It's
Ye-
it's not who you were, and even no matter what you've done, if you repent and cede to God, I mean, actually sometimes even if you don't repent, God is still sovereign, and He will is what is it, Romans 8:28, I think. All things work together for the good, and
Those who love
so
him.
we don't have an excuse ever as followers of Jesus to ever feel hopeless,
Right,
because hopelessness doesn't exist for followers of Jesus. Even the worst
right.
situations and the worst things you could go through, maybe you might not even see the result of them in your lifetime, but you can always trust in God that something is at work and it will be for His glory. And so just do your part, and that's pretty awesome. Nobody is insignificant.
And to point out two examples that we've already kind of touched on in the stream, Jericho and Goliath. Those were
Yeah.
impossible situations.
Hmm.
I don't think people realize how fortified Jericho was. There was no
Yeah.
taking that city. It was not going to happen. I'm going to dedicate the stream to the archaeology of Jericho, either next week or the week after, depending on how much we get through
Oh yeah,
today.
it's crazy the stuff you learn there.
It's awesome. So I want to bring that out in very deep detail. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be pulling up a lot of pictures, a lot of background, a lot of the digs and studies, and all the evidences we have of Jericho. We're going to go through that. It's going to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours of just Jericho stuff. But Jericho was an impossible situation. Goliath was an impossible situation for David. Yet they weren't even a challenge.
Right.
It's not like, oh, they struggled. There was no struggle.
Hmm.
All they had to do was trust in God and they succeeded,
Be strong
which
and
is,
courageous.
yeah, almost as if that's a good idea for everyone. We should all be doing that. But, yeah. Anyway, so Rahab is super interesting as a person, as a character. Um, she's very courageous herself because
Hmm.
what she did would get her killed and worse
Oh yeah.
by the people of the city. So she would have been made an example, especially as a harlot. She would have been used
And a
like a
woman.
harlot. Yeah. She would have been used, abused, tortured, and eventually killed, and then had like her head on a pike or something. Uh, Pretty brutal what people have done to people all throughout history, including today. And we have her being courageous, hiding the spies, and trusting Yahweh. Granted, they had heard the stories of Yahweh, they had heard the stories of the Israelites coming out of Egypt, Egypt being destroyed. They had seen all these things, and immediately after, Thutmose IV goes out and conquers a neighboring territory to go gather a bunch of slaves. So you have, I'm not going through the archaeology stuff right now, but Egypt, we have archaeology that the Exodus did happen. So you have this Exodus that happens, and the people hear about it. They hear about the wonders. They hear about all these miracles. They're like, oh, Israelites, their God is special. Their God is unique. So she
Mhm.
hears about that. She's like, "Oh, I know who your God is. I accept him. I reject my people. I want to be identified with you." And then she is saved through that. And that's how all the Gentiles were saved through Jesus. And it's why paganism is now dead, or at least mostly
Yeah.
dead. There's like less than 1 million pagans on the planet. That number is growing because gnosis has always been attractive to people. Now they're
Mhm.
repackaging paganism as a form of gnosis.
Right.
So it is what it is, but all the witches coming out of it on TikTok has been pretty cool to watch.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. Um, I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes. So I
Yeah.
don't know how much energy I have tonight to keep going. But so she is interesting both because she's a Gentile, which is interesting that a Gentile converts to following Yahweh. You have a Gentile in the lineage of David and a Gentile in the lineage of Jesus. So both for the Jews and for the Christians, this is an extraordinarily remarkable thing, especially because the Jews and Christians are extremely racist at the
Mhm.
time. Christians less so for a while, then became more so. They became anti-Semitic because of the bad blood between the Jews and Christians that developed during the persecution.
Mhm.
But at the time of Jesus, they were very racist. They were extremely racist against the Samaritans, which is even why his parable of the Good Samaritan had so much force behind it, because he was basically saying, like, it's the equivalent of a person in the 1960s or 1950s saying the good black person. And then giving all this description of like the white people doing all these evil things, and they're coming like a good helpful black person that helps out the white man in the struggles, but all the other white people in all the other races were just not doing it. So that's what Jesus is doing with the Good Samaritan. So we have a Gentile in the lineage during a time period which everyone's racist and tribal. It's very weird. So you don't just have that, you also have her being elevated in the Bible itself. So um in a couple different places I can go to, but this is 11. Oh, we're at 31. Sorry. Hebrews 11:31. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab the harlot did not perish along with those who were disobedient after welcoming the spies in peace. So she is an example, along with all these other people. And she's the last one that actually gets a description of what's happening to them. And all these other patriarchs, all these other people who have like this long section on the faith of the patriarchs, the faith of the prophets, the faith of the people that came before. She's included among them. Her and Sarah are the only two, but Sarah's debated on whether or not it's her faith or it was Abraham's faith. Actually, I think there's a good case that's Abraham's faith, not Sarah's faith in that passage. But Rahab for sure is Rahab there. So she's one of the only women in this passage, and she's elevated for her faith in protecting the spies at the threat of death and torture. And then James 2:25 also does a similar thing, where in the same way, this was actually right after Abraham, in the same way, was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way? So she, in, the only other person pointed to by James here is Abraham. Like, think about that. James is pulling from the entire Tanakh. He's pulling from the entire Old Testament. He singles out Abraham and Rahab. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Not anyone else, not Elijah, not Joshua, not Moses, Rahab.
But Chris,
So
the Quran mentions Mary. And there's a chapter, there's a surah
mm,
dedicated to women
mm,
where where it's
yes,
mentioned that you can beat them.
we can beat them. Yes, yes. On this side, it's sort of 4. You can read
Is it
4,
434? Is that
24,
the
434, 4 128, There's a lot of fun passages in Surah 4. Surah
Sorry,
4
that's just
also,
fresh in my mind because of I was watching. I was listening earlier today at work. I was listening to David Wood and AP going over that debate with uh, with the Muslim women versus the Christian women, and
mm,
they were actually. I mean, they made that statement. They're like, "Hey, it's the Quran talks about how great Mary was, and if you didn't, like it's defending Mary. It's like,
I would
all
hope
right."
so.
But it
Yeah,
also that's like the only woman mentioned by name in the whole Quran.
the only woman. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It talks about the other wives. It talks about like Aisha. It talks about Mary Lee Copt. It talks about Zainab, but it doesn't talk about any of them by name. It doesn't talk about Sarah.
Hmm.
It doesn't talk about any of the matriarchs. Doesn't talk about Rebecca being three, surprisingly. Yeah, all over the place. Anyway, Rahab, super cool lady. I think we should have a higher view of her than what
Yeah,
people do. Same with most of like even like Tamar. Like Tamar is a very interesting character.
she
Um,
is. She's cunning.
Tamar.
She's got it.
Well, she
She
was
was
also
very
gray.
tactful. Yeah, yeah.
She could have
Because
died with the way she did it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Judah would have, he could have gotten angry. Fortunately,
Hmm.
Judah was he took it to heart, the situation. But I mean, that could have been a very dangerous thing for her to do.
Yeah. Yeah. She could have been executed for it, which
Hmm.
was the law. So yeah, very weird. Very weird.
If you've ever
So
loved hitting one woman, I got something to tell you guys. You could hit four, and nothing would happen to you.
Mm, yeah, we're not gonna make it to five today. It's just not gonna happen. I don't have the energy for it. Uh,
I
no,
can actually
I
hear
traveled this last weekend.
your voice. It seems to be not at its full strength. Sounds good though,
uh,
but I can
yeah,
tell
I need
I can
sleep.
tell it's
So
tired.
I was thinking like I could end the stream early and then work on the book for like an hour and a half. I'm like, it's almost 11. Well, it's 10:30. I should probably just go to sleep and be a responsible human.
Wow, and Chris, that would
Uh,
do wonders for me because 11 anything before midnight for me, I think like, wow, it's like 5 in the morning. That's awesome. I've got the whole day ahead of me. So if we call it soon, I'll
I
be like, what?
last no this month I went to bed. It was the night that AP and Ash streamed together. We asked him all the dry humor questions.
Oh yeah.
That night I went to bed at like 8:40.
Wow. You know what's funny? I went to sleep this morning at 6 o'clock and woke up at 9:30 and made it through the whole day okay. And it was around 7 o'clock, I think. I was setting up in here for the live stream, and my youngest daughter was coloring in a coloring book. She wanted asked if she could come down and help me set up. And so I got it all, there's enough space in here for everything. And then I was like, boy, it's kind of cozy in here. And I had like a 20-minute nap on the floor. But then I woke up and I was like, hey, I'm ready to go again. I was kind of fading away. But so it's 11:30. That's really early. So that's pretty cool. I fully endorse Chris you getting more sleep and maybe through osmosis or one of those other super scientific terms, perhaps I will then uh, get more sleep. Yeah. Sallallahu
uh
alayhi wasallam.
you I think diffusion is the one you're looking for because osmosis is specifically water.
Yeah. You know, like I feel like our
Yeah.
sweat. You know, we could put our
Yep.
temples together, and maybe like you could transpose some of your tiredness into me. Not like kind of sounding zitty
Uh,
here. So
I'm gonna transfer my energy. I need the. Woo.
please don't.
I haven't had
You know what?
coffee
Never mind.
in many a moon, but I do have the All Zut coffee, strong, dark, and gives you the energy of 30 men. Um, Granted, I'm not drinking caffeine anymore, so it's just gonna make my
Sure
room
does
smell
smell
nice.
good though. Sure does smell
It
good.
smells great. It smells wonderful. Oh, Jack, thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate it,
Jack
brother.
Ray.
Yeah, and your wife got one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Except it's
Oh,
also
she
embarrassing
can.
that she wasn't one already, so I don't know what to say about
I
that.
mean, it's a little too early.
Women,
Yeah. You're
gonna
not
get my
one. Yeah.
miswak.
Get your miswhack on your miswife or your misbehaving wife. Anyway, yeah. So now she can join the Discord server,
Oh,
and
great.
yeah,
Now I have to
those who
stop
are wondering,
talking
those
about
who
all
are
my
members who have not joined the Discord, you can actually watch or not watch. You can interact with me directly on the Discord for members only.
it's like a
But
VIP pass.
it is a VIP pass indeed.
And
I
it's
feel like
great fun.
I honestly I looked for a hammock in their house. I did not see one.
No,
That
I sleep on
that
the
feels
floor.
exactly like yeah,
Much to my wife's chagrin, if you'll pardon my whatever that would be. Sounds kind of French. I don't know. Not
French.
too French. My chagrin. Maybe I'll like anglicize it. Pardon my chagrin. But I like the floor. And
It's kind of German. Who's trying to join the stream?
no, that would be a
Oh,
chagrin.
all right. I guess we're
Uh-oh.
not sleeping anymore.
Do we have an interloper?
We do. Oh
Let's see.
no.
Who could it be? Oh, no way. It's the good Gadfly himself.
What's up, losers?
You named it Crashing Chris's stupid live stream.
And I've never got wedgies, but
So now we have
Well,
3 levels
far
of
be it
parity
from
for the
me to
cameras.
mislead people away from Chris's channel, but Christian Gadfly did just make a super swell and a very heartfelt, touching video that I think a lot of people can.
he's saying
Well,
a
there
bunch
goes
of
another
crap
word.
because he wrote the song that's playing in the background. He's trying to make everybody listen to the music.
But he's yeah, I showed it to my wife earlier because it was, I think pretty much everybody can relate to that situation. But he does this cool thing about tying it into Eden, and I think this Christian Gadfly fellow might know what he's talking about. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. Too bad he
Oh,
missed the
hide the
first half of the
miswak.
stream, which was super based.
So
It
what
was
did we
actually.
cover so far?
All of the
Look at
evidence
Chris
we have
trying to
for
process. Poor guy. It's been like 2 hours. It's been 2 hours and 59 minutes. And I'm asking like I'm a genuine asker, and really I'm just trying to watch y'all panic over 3 hours of content in 5 seconds. What y'all cover so
No,
far?
I can do it.
We
I can do
okay,
it.
go ahead.
All right, so we went through
Actually, before you start, I thought maybe I might be able to retain myself, but this might be a good time while you're going over things I've been here
You've
for.
got to be kidding me. Every time he sees my face, he has to go take a piss.
Yeah, well,
It's like Pavlov's dogs. Every time I get
it
on
is
here,
kind
he's
of
like,
it's like
well,
Pavlov's
actually,
bladder. Gadfly's bladder is what
you
I've got.
trained him.
this
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I've trained him. I know this is strange, guys, but actually, I do need to pee right now. It's like, Steve, you do that every time you see me.
Every time I hear Foghorn Leghorn, I get the sudden urge to go to the bathroom.
Or every time I have like a long thing I'm about to start saying, I feel like I'm just really gonna be cooking. He's like, he's talking now. Okay, I can go pee.
I can still hear you, unfortunately, but I'll be right back. And in case you ever wanted to have 2 Gadflies at once, here.
Golly, that guy's a weirdo.
All right.
Jeez.
So far we've covered Jesus' name being Yeshua and how that is demonstrated in the weirdness of the theophoric changes between the original Hebrew and the shortened Hebrew of the exile, how he is the only one that doesn't go from Yeho to Yo, but he goes from Yeho to Yeh. So he's now Yeshua instead of Yoshua, which then points to salvation, because in Hebrew, salvation is literally Yeshua.
Wait, I thought Jesus had the exact same name as Joshua.
No.
Okay, so Yeshua is the Aramaic and Yehoshua is the...
No.
Nope, okay.
They're both Hebrew.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you can go back and watch the first half of the stream. But,
I'll have to.
Yeah, so in Numbers 13 and 16 actually says Yeshua ben Nun. So Yeshua, the son of Nun. Well, who is that? It's Joshua, the son of Nun, is the successor to Moses. So in Numbers, in Hebrew, Joshua is called Yeshua, son of Nun. So it's not in Aramaic, it's actually Hebrew. Otherwise, it would be Yeshua bar Nun. But it's not bar, it's ben. And then the rest of the sentence is also in Hebrew. So it's not an Aramaic name, it's a Hebrew name. But the Hebrew names all shortened for the theophoric names, if it started with it, from Yeho to Yo, except for Jesus, which shortened from Yehoshua to Yeshua. And they actually changed the lettering, that changed the spelling of the word to make it identical to salvation. So it's not just Yahweh's salvation, it's literally just salvation.
Gosh,
Went through Isaiah 12:2 and how it says Yahweh becomes salvation, which is pretty cool. We went over, yeah. So Yahweh becomes Yeshua.
Don't you think? Holy Spirit? I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, like it literally just says like,
there's art and subtlety.
Literally,
Holy Spirit. Also, hopefully, joking like that isn't blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. It's a joke.
So it literally just says, "Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust not dread, for Yahweh Himself is my strength and my song, and He has become my salvation." So literally in the Hebrew, it's just Yahweh is coming to me as salvation, but it's just Yeshua.
That's so on the nose.
So it's just Yahweh comes as Yeshua is literally what the sentence says. So, yeah, we went through that. Went through a couple different places with that. It's pretty cool. We went through how both of them were renamed. Joshua used to be named Hosea, and then Moses renamed him. We went how Jesus was also renamed multiple times with the covenants, and every new covenant, God took on a new name. In the new covenant, God took on the name Yeshua, salvation, which that covenant is the one that actually saves. We have two comings for both Joshua and Jesus, where Joshua went into the promised land twice, once as a spy during the time of Moses, where the people were not ready to go into the land, and they had to be purged and cleansed. And there was a second coming where the people were fully with it and accepting of it, all that stuff. So you have the two comings of Joshua into the promised land. You have Jesus coming twice, bringing the true promised land of salvation. You have Hebrews 4:8, which talks about how if Joshua gave them rest, it wouldn't speak about a future rest. And in the Greek, there's literally just Yesus. So in Hebrews 4:8, it's literally just Jesus, because in the Septuagint, it's Yesu. There's no final sigma. So the final sigma in Hebrews 4:8 literally just makes it into Jesus. So it's Yesus. So you have the Yesus there giving partial rest. Then you have the Yesus giving the true rest into the true promised land in the resurrection, in the redemption of the people. You have Moses representing the law, but the law is not good enough to give you rest. So Joshua brings them beyond the law into the promised land through faith and through obedience to that law. Jesus succeeded by following the law, having the faith in it. Then he brings grace, truth, spiritual rest, and everlasting life with the true promised land and the resurrection. You have Joshua being a mighty warrior, Jesus being literally the warrior God who pointed a sword at David. And we went through a lot of that neat stuff. And, Joshua defeated the armies of the Canaanites. Jesus defeated death, sin, and hell to bring people into the true promised land. So again, you have a lot of this promised land language. You have Joshua's obedience is what allowed him to enter in and to serve this role from the Father, and Jesus' obedience allowed him to enter into the new covenant and serve the role the Father had for him. And then the most interesting tidbit, Joshua crossed, and I actually might be able to bring this up real quick because this is just so interesting. I think I can just do Control T. And it brings all of them up. I can, yes. All right, so I'll redo it for your audience and for those who were not here earlier. So this is the crossing points of Jericho. Whenever Joshua entered into the land, this is the Jordan River. And as I can zoom out, this is the Dead Sea just south of them, right? And the Sea of Galilee is north of them. And then Galilee is to the west here. This is Galilee right here. And then this is the wilderness of Judea out to the right. Okay. So they crossed into the promised land right here across from Jericho. They camped at Gilgal. They circled Jericho. Sometimes they took Jericho. Then they went more north to take out the mountain cities and then eventually west to take out the plains, which we'll go over in the next couple weeks. Who else stopped the Jordan River in the Old Testament?
Shittim.
No, which figure stopped the Jordan River? But who? Which person?
Elijah.
Mm-hmm. Where did Elijah?
Shittim, and I'm immature.
Where did Elijah stop the Jordan River?
I'm guessing just north of the Red Sea because he was a type for Jabab, and Jabab hung out over there all the time by those Essenes. So
just opposite Jericho.
Okay.
Literally the exact same spot.
The Essenes are just south of that. Like just walking distance south of that. On the same side.
So Elijah and Joshua stopped the river at the exact same point.
I saw comments says Elijah got in.
Elijah got in. Elijah got out. Elijah got in. He got out. Yeah.
That was good.
So we have Elijah stopping the river at this location. We have Joshua stopping the river at this location. Who does Elijah represent in the New Testament?
Jabab.
Or
who is he the
type
type
I guess
of?
I should ask it. Yeah, who in the New Testament is Elijah?
Jabab. John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. J-Baptist. yeah, the baptismal.
Call him, but I don't think they say that out loud like that. But just like in their writing, they'll say Jabab.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we have John the Baptist.
You're like,
where do you think John?
I kept saying Jabab.
I was
not understanding.
I was so confused by what you were saying. Yeah.
It sounds like some cartoon character or something. The only
Where
other
do you think
character
John
who's
the
wearing camel hair in the entire Bible. That guy.
Where do you think John the Baptist was baptizing people in the Jordan?
Right there, in that spot.
So, right here. How do we know this? We know this both because of the archaeology. We have a lot of evidences of that. We have maps, which I brought up. I brought up an old map. It was pretty base, pretty cool, which is not currently open, but I could probably bring that up too. So this is where Jesus was baptized, where John the Baptist, who's wearing camel hair, eating locusts and honey. So literally Elijah is baptized in the same place that Elijah stopped the river. Okay, which is pretty cool. It's also where the Israelites come into the promised land the first time. So
Sorry, you're cooking, but let me throw in a little spice. I've also been baptized in that exact same spot. Okay, keep going, keep cooking.
All right. So you went to the church at the Bethany beyond the Jordan?
No, just in the Jordan, north of the Dead Sea.
Okay, yeah. So we have the Israelites entering into the promised land through this river passage at that exact location. We have Joshua, who's representative of Jesus, leading them through the waters into the new life. Then we have Elijah doing the same thing, stopping it, and then giving that blessing onto Elisha, who also does it by hitting it with the cloak of Elijah. Then you have Jesus coming with John the Baptist in the same area. So you have Joshua and Elijah together at last, the two figures who stopped the river, and Elisha as well. But anyway, he does it through the spirit of Elijah. So you have Elijah and Joshua coming together again, and Jesus and John the Baptist in the exact same location, but this time it is bringing in the new covenant. It's anointing Christ for the new covenant. It is preparing the way for Yahweh. in the new covenant at the exact same location.
Man, I'm so glad.
And then obviously the crossing of the Red Sea and the crossing of the Jordan River are the two times that Israel came through waters. And that obviously goes back to, we went over this in the Genesis stream, but there is a picture of birth that you can point, like Abraham was the seed that was planted. He was planted into Egypt eventually through Joseph. And then the seed festered, it developed into a baby. It went through growing pains and labor pains in their bondage, in their slavery, and in the final week of the, or multiple weeks, the history is a little weird there, but in the last couple weeks of their time in Egypt, you have all the plagues happening, all these difficulties and struggles. Through the struggle, they are chased out because the body expels the baby eventually. So the baby is chased out of Egypt by like the womb. And then they go through a dark, wet tunnel to reach light on the other side. So they're literally being birthed out of Egypt into what should be the promised land, but then they're a rebellious child that needed to be disciplined and grown, taught in instruction of the Lord, how to serve him, how to follow him as the Son of God. And then they were brought into the promised land by another crossing of water. So there was another crossing that happened. And then, so you can kind of like represent like the big covenant, the little covenant, or like the partial deliverance and the full deliverance through the waters. And then we have the baptism as well, which is like the baptism of the Holy Spirit is the seal of redemption for our resurrection, for our new life. And the water baptism is the outward public sign of that event. So you have water baptism being represented in the Red Sea crossing and in the Jordan crossing with Jesus. So you have Jesus being baptized in the same location. These things are happening where he is the new Joshua. John the Baptist is the fulfillment of Elijah. Jesus is the fulfillment of Moses, bringing the new law and the new covenant, all these things. So you have all of that in this one little passage. All you have to know is like the geography of what's happening. So you have all that really neat, really cool. We went through some of, I wanted to show you the map as well, because that is part of the evidence we have for the thing. So let me bring this up. So this is the map that I went over earlier. I need to add it to stage. That'd be smart. This is the Madaba map. And this is in a church in east of the Jordan. It's a Greek Orthodox church. And here we have Jerusalem. So this city down here is Jerusalem. And then this city up here is actually Zorah, if you read the Greek there. And it's literally where Lot went to. So this is where Lot escaped, which is pretty neat. You have Jerusalem there. And then, Christian, do you want to help the audience? Because my Greek is pretty terrible. You want to read that for us?
This is a weird looking script. So,
it is.
Alonatathei noon. So the upsilon. So which one are you looking at right now?
The one right below the fish. So the one that starts with Bethabara.
Oh, Bethabara, Toto, Atio, no, new. I think that fish that's pointing down, I think, so that's either an upsilon or it's a really goofy looking Omicron. I'm not sure.
It's an Omicron upsilon diphthong.
So
you can just read it.
So it's like a genitive. It's a genitive construct in the
so
neuter and masculine. Okay. Yeah. Tuba.
Yeah.
Petisma tos alonata thane.
Yeah, that's not part of it, but
Betha.
So this is one word here. But batismos or batismatos. So this is baptism. This is
it is one. Bethany. So the beta alpha to the left of the house is part of that word.
Yeah.
Oh, so tu baptismatos of the baptism, but there's a house
of the baptism.
Confused it.
Ooh.
Okay, got it.
So this is one word here.
So
So that's the word
tofu
for
would be this. That's how you say
Yes.
this. That's your demonstrative.
yes.
Yeah.
So this is this of the saint.
Yonu. Oh, Yuanu
So this
is
is
John of John.
John. Yeah. So
Hagu is
Saint
of the
John,
holy. So
the
it would
baptism.
be okay.
Yeah. The Holy John or the Saint
this
John.
Holy John, the baptism. That's what it says.
Yeah. So
Now the reason that
this
took
is
me so long
Bethany,
is because
where
these
John the
letters,
Baptist.
these letters look different than the modern Greek letters a little bit, and the diphthongs of the Omicron upsilons are smacked together. That's why I was looking at that letter going, it looks like an Omicron, but also upsilon. And Chris is like, it's because it's both. Then the fact that a house is separating the middle of the word confused me. And in ancient Greek, they didn't put spaces between words. So it's kind of, that's why it took so long.
Why do you assume we don't know Hebrew?
William Slash.
Literally going anyway.
Oh, William
whole series
Slash,
on Hebrew
could you
on the
read the
channel.
Hebrew that's on this map for us? Oh, there isn't any? Okay.
Anyway, I'm glad I wasn't the only one that struggled with the lettering of this. But this is literally, so what this map says is this is the location where John the Baptist baptized at Bethany. So this is saying this is where Jesus was baptized. And it is, we have other letters that testify that it was about 5 miles north of the Dead Sea on the Jordan,
So
which
I'm
roughly
guessing
equates to where this
north
fish
is
is
that
kissing.
way. North is that way. And
Yeah,
south
north
is
is
that way.
north is to the left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I zoom out, like that's the Dead Sea here, and then Jerusalem's down here, and the Sea of Galilee is to the left up here. So, yeah, the map, you just got to turn the whole thing 90 degrees. And then this is what you're looking like. Yeah. So we have ancient sources, and we have a bunch of churches, like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is one of the landmarks for the tomb of Jesus. We have like 4 or 5 churches throughout history at this location saying this is where Jesus was baptized. You have pilgrims in the 300s going to that site to pay homage to where Jesus was baptized. We have a lot of sources to point to that being the exact location that Jesus was baptized. Interestingly, though, that's also where the Jordan crossing happened for the Israelites and Elijah. So pretty cool stuff. And then we went through some of the other things with Joshua, like in Joshua 1:5, Yahweh is speaking, and Yahweh says, I will be with you and I will not forsake you. And that's pain. Like Jesus says something similar in Matthew 28:20, where he says, I will be with you to the end of the ages, always. So, Yahweh speaking there, but Jesus is speaking here. So, what if Jesus is Yahweh, the same person? Went through the law and how based it is, because of course we did. And then we went through Rahab and how Rahab's really cool. So that's everything we covered in the last 2 hours.
Well, good job.
It's pretty good. Yeah, let me bring up Joshua 2 again.
I'm probably going to go to bed soon. I'm the first and the
Same.
last. I'm the last and the least.
Does it say John the Baptist or J-Bab? It does not say J-Bab.
Bap.
Yeah.
With a P. J-Bap.
Why are we reading Greek sources instead of Hebrew? I literally have the Hebrew to knock up right now. Are you happy? But like we're reading a Greek map.
וישלח יהושע בן נון מן השיטים 2 אנשים מרגלים חרש לאמור לכו ראו את הארץ ואת יריחו וילכו ויבואו. There we go. There's some Hebrew for you.
There you go, Slash.
I was like, what are you reciting? And then I was like, oh, wait, no, you're actually just reading the text off the screen. Okay, yeah.
He's putting a
makes
Jewish
sense.
curse on us.
Yeah.
I didn't realize at first. And then I started actually listening to what you were saying. And I was like, oh, no, that's like what we're reading right now. Yeah. It looks Greek to me. Yes. he did in fact do a Gadfly impression as well. There's a fun little Easter egg Gadfly impression. But I just want to talk about Rahab, and then we'll probably call it for the night. Because I did not want to stay on too late. While you joined, we were actually talking about how much I wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was a good conclusion. Is a lot of times a summary of what has happened. So
that is true.
oh no, I wanted to go through two.
Good. So
I
do
guess we don't have to.
Alma
Long as
and
two.
He's talking about Isaiah
Deuteronomy.
6, the
Oh,
virgin.
yeah.
He's trying to attack the prophecy.
Yeah, Betula and Alma. So Alma is used of
No,
Rebecca.
don't fall for this
Yeah.
bait. Let's go to bed.
Yeah.
Just Google it.
Almost
dude.
is. Well, we just want to do. I guess we do Joshua 2 next week. That's fine.
Yes, the
I-
Mule
so if you
52
want to
was
get
the
my-
black speech. Not the raisin head kind, but the Uruk-hai.
If you want to go through my video on Isaiah 7, I've done this video already. It's on my channel, going through all of the Hebrew. The Alma just means young unmarried woman. The assumption is that an Alma would be a virgin, because in Hebrew culture, you would expect women not to be fooling around. So, if an Alma, who's an unmarried young woman, has a baby, how do you think that happened? Also, we have women who are specifically Batulas called Almas in the Old Testament.
Well, and I
So,
think
anyway,
the
you can go
Greek
through that video.
actually further clarifies, doesn't it? If you go to the Greek, it makes
Yeah.
it very clear.
Yes,
How
Matthew is
it was
quoting the
read.
Greek there, and it literally means virgin. So the Septuagint, the Jewish
Parthenos,
Greek translation, Parthenos, it
which is
literally
older than
says
the time of Jesus.
virgin.
Right.
Correct.
So some Jew
Yeah.
translated it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
A council of them,
Again,
actually.
no. Alma also means virgin. It can very easily mean virgin in the context and culture. Anyway, yes, that is also what Matthew's quoting from. He's not quoting from the Hebrew, but yeah. So you can get your head out of, use your head, get it out of the sand, look at it with your eyes, and think
The only
about
thing I want to use my head on right now, Mr. Schlass, is my pillow. Okay.
it.
Get on Twitter. Go tell Christians how stupid they are. That's fine. Do it. But I'm going to go to sleep. I'm tired.
And he's going to sleep nice and easy because he knows
I'm going
the
to sleep
truth.
nice and easy because I've heard everything you're talking about before already.
Dude.
And I don't care.
What is the definition of maiden, my guy?
Not yo mama. Sorry.
What's the definition of a maiden? It literally means maiden, by the way. So he's right about that. But what's the definition of maiden? It means a young unmarried woman.
Yeah,
Can we go to
this has
bed?
been dealt with so
Yeah, we're going
many
to bed.
times. Yeah.
All right. So thank you for coming out. Go watch the stream if you're curious about the details of what I just summarized. Next week, we'll go through Joshua 2 through 4 or 2 through 5. We'll see how far we can get. Joshua's pretty quick to go through. Dude, an unmarried woman is a virgin. You
keep falling for
Okay.
the bait, Chris. You're falling for
I
the bait.
know. I know. It's not serious.
Think about
question.
bunnies.
Okay.
I want you to think about bunnies.
Okay. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship will speak with you always. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you Wednesday with something.
Laila Tov, Haverim.
Laila tov.